Hello, Commanders, and welcome to the RNG Endgame, a podcast about the game Marvel Strike Force. Your hosts are Frid and Creative. We're leaders in an alliance from a large cluster, and would like to share our insights with you to hopefully improve your gameplay and overall experience, and give you a little entertainment.
All right, Creative, we're almost to 70, episode 69. And we're going to start with a review that we receive on the Apple podcast. And it's from Bane's Menace from the US. And he says, great podcast for endgame players. I found this podcast by chance while looking for a different one and decided to give it a listen. I am so happy I did. Sometimes it is hard to find information from the point of view that is similar to yours or coming from someone that is in the same place, but this podcast is perfect for me. It is great to hear about the same struggles I am facing as an endgame player and an alliance leader and get a fresh take from their point of view. Keep up the great show. So, sounds like we... Thank you for that. I appreciate it, Bane's Mace. And sounds like we found a kindred spirit out there that's kind of in the same kind of wavelength that we are and taking a full advantage. We try to make it universal so it applies to everybody, but it's definitely slanted towards our own experience, which is more of the end game. So glad you found us. If you know anybody else, please let them know. All right. So I'm going to move on to gearing and leveling. And my gearing and leveling is very straightforward this week because Adam Warlock is in the game. And I got super lucky on the double day for Polaris. I got like 30 shards or some crazy number on the second round of the double. And that finished her to 5. So I was able to unlock Adam Wallet on day 1. And ever since, the arena got populated with them. So I leveled everybody up. I was already working on them, but everybody from Infinity Watch that started, that team started to become part of the arena. So I said I need to join this. So I loaded everybody to 15 and several T4s have been completed. So I blew past the 2.7 million several days and I'm effectively in bankruptcy, like in Monopoly. I'm out of money. I don't have anything left. I have 200K for the first time ever, probably, and maybe a dozen gold orbs. That's it. That's what, is average 222, I think, but I get like 180 every time or whatever, 170 the minimum is. So yeah, that's maybe 1.7 more million. So plus, so I'll I think I've hit a plateau here of things I needed to immediately upgrade. So hopefully I have some time to replenish. But watch them release Captain Sam as a milestone character. And the gold one, like the top, will be super high and really good. Just watch. But anyway, that was kind of covered the week of gearing, but I did want to spend a second here talking about the arena. And I was out of town this week on vacation on the beach, so I didn't have a lot of time to kind of study the matchup of the mirror, which is now what's happening in arena, the Infinity Watch mirror. So I kind of still don't know quite what I'm doing. I've heard people going after Nebula first. I've heard people say you go after Moondragon first. I think Creative says you go after Phyla-Vell first. I've tried several combinations of these, and I'm getting a little bit better, but I don't feel comfortable that I can always win. So I need some more practice and some more tips. And it also takes forever. So that has been the other thing that my experience. This takes the full 5 minutes because there's all these, buffs flying around and death proofs, and you gotta kill people over and over again. And What do you know about this matchup creative? I think you've studied it a little bit more and have had some more success. So maybe there's something you can share for our listeners and for me on how to do this.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably have to do a little bit more specifics, but there's a few kind of just tips. First and foremost, there's a lot of wall of text things going on in this team, and every time you turn around, there's evades, there's counters, then there's defense ups, then there's death proofs. So there's a lot going on there, and we'll talk a little more about Adam Wallet. A lot of his abilities just get wasted. And at least the first turn, if not even the second turn sometimes. So, one is make sure if you're doing a debuff move that you can actually apply it. Most of the time, whoever you're going to target has resistance, except for Nebula. Nebula goes fast and starts losing her things right away. But most of the characters that you want to target still have resistance on them. So if you're going to use ability block from Adam or other things like that, it's not going to land. Two.
Oh, you mean the immunity?
The
green X.
What's that? The green X, yeah. I keep calling it resistance because I couldn't think of the immunity as the right term.
Yeah, where you can't land your debuffs.
Right. I don't get too worked up on the whole new mechanic. I forget the stupid little triangle. What's
Safeguard.
That? Safeguard. I mean, there's not a whole lot of times where that really comes into play. It falls off so quickly, and it doesn't come back till later in the fight, so I don't really worry about that. The other we've talked a little about, which is a lot of times you just want to use Gamora's basic and just wail away. I only use her special very rarely, and it's typically when one of the other teams has death proof and the other Gamora has used this special. The other team's Gamora will use this special right away. But if the other team has death proof and does not have an evade, you want to use Gamora's special to steal the death proof and give it to your team. Because no matter what, you're going to run into problems with Phyla and Moondragon because there's just so much damage going around, and having those extra death proofs is a big help. What else? And then when you use debuffs, almost always do those on Gamora or Adam. So Moondragon's special that removes the buffs and then slows, almost always do that on Gamora. And then the stun, I love it when people put Adam and Gamora next to each other or close together, because a lot of times you'll stun both of them.
Mm-hmm.
But stunning Adam, if yours goes first, if yours goes second, then stunning Gamora. So everything is, all the characters do a lot of crazy things, but still a ton of the damage comes from Gamora and from Nebula. So focusing those in terms of the debuffs is great. Do not go after Gamora. I'm sure someone's done it by accident, and next thing you know, someone else is taunted. We have yet another taunt or protector that doesn't ever taunt scenario. It's just so strange. And so, she is last. I do Phyla, then Moondragon, and then I choose whoever is in, has defense down, or whoever's in a worse position between Adam and Nebula. And if you keep debuffing Gamora, you're going to limit how much damage she does. The other thing, Phyla's basic does offense down, as well as if you look at the ultimate, does some great things, the defense up. So it's just really, you have to look at all the crazy red and green everywhere, and there's always so much of it. So just keeping track of that, but just, single focus fire, even if you think you want to, spread an AoE attack or adjacent attack, almost always you want to stay focusing on one character, because a lot of times you're going to get the ISO 8 focus or vulnerability, assist kind of stuff going on. So you'll get those extra attacks. So whoever you're targeting, go all in on them. And then, Moondragon special on, someone that you want to debuff.
Yeah. And I want to go back to what you said about using Gamora's basic most of the time, because even the ultimate is kind of crazy because it
gives the offense up.
Yeah, and it does a huge hit, but if there's death proofs, it kind of doesn't work as well. Where, the basic does like these multiple hits, and then it gets the assist, I believe, from
from Nebula,
Nebula, right?
and
So
that
if there
was the vulnerable, yeah.
right, so if there was a hanging death proof, you may be able to get through it with
Mm-hmm.
with that move versus just the ultimate or something like that. So that's kind of what I wanted to mention there. But it's crazy how much damage that thing does.
It's insane.
The basic. Yep. All right. Well, that covered my week. Nothing too exciting other than leveling up this crazy team that is now almost my best team out of nowhere and
Yeah.
going broke.
Yeah.
How about you? How about your week?
Yeah, so we also had a very relaxed week. So you had you're on vacation, and it corresponded very well. But all week has been off for us because we won our previous rounds. We've not had any blitz needs whatsoever, and we're actually not going to need much blitz going forward. So we'll talk a little about that in the news and numbers. And so we've had basically standard raid activities. And so, I go in, I have full energy, I do my 5 attacks, I come back later. So it's been a very, very nice change of pace and a much more minimum screen time perspective. Nice change from all the crazy blitzing and the laborious events. So that's been really nice. But for gearing and leveling, same thing. Infinity Watch is now my second most powerful team, which is just insane. They're all T15 like you. I still could do probably 5 more ability T4s, and then Adam is about 6 green armor or focus ISOs from being ISO of 5. All of them are at least blue ISO 1, except for Adam. So I mean, the amount of stuff we have poured into this team is insane. I'm not as broke as you, but as you saw, I've been getting very lucky with the gold orbs. I've been opening 10 at a time. I've gotten 1 million, I would say at least 7 times in the last couple weeks. I mean, it's pretty crazy. So I'm around 7 million with no gold orbs. And then,
I haven't seen a gold orb for
a
about a
million
month.
one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, a million plus in
Right.
about a month, I think. It's crazy how bad it has been.
So, I still have a little bit of gold, but I'm going to, go back to, maybe a million spin, maybe even less than that, just to get a little bit of a cushion. I have a lot of cleanup work that I've wanted to do, get Shadowlands higher, get Skilletary higher, and then, do some patching here and there on some other stuff. So I'll just be slow and cloying that stuff. I probably might even touch Sam and Carter. We talked about it the other week. While I can't one-shot the nodes and skill Doom Raid, I can still do what I need to and limp along. So I'm not really terribly excited about those guys. But so that was really it. I mean, it's all in on invisible, the Infinity Watch team. Every time I see IW, I always write it 8W now, just because I think Invisible Woman. So the one thing I wanted to just kind of go off, and you and I have talked a little about this, is Adam Warlock, as we call him, Wallet. It feels a little clunky to me. So we knew this team was fantastic. You could run the 4 of them before it and demolish all kinds of stuff. Adam came along, and I was expecting the team to go to like another level, even higher. If you think about the legendaries that we've had historically, going all the way back to Fury and Star-Lord. Without those 2 legendaries, there is no team. Now we already have an awesome team, and then you can just throw in this legendary on the side.
Right.
I mean, even the more recent ones, Doc Ock, who's just a fantastic standalone character, does so much for his team in terms of the crazy amount of heals, the speed ups, and things that he does. Plus, he has just fantastic debuff kind of capability. And then Jubilee, oh my gosh, the team is like phenomenally better because of all the assists. But with Adam, he doesn't necessarily really elevate the team like all of these other legendaries. I mean, if you keep going, Maw, when Maw is there or not there, because first and foremost, Thanos becomes empowered.
That's right.
But secondarily, I mean, right away, he is putting offense down and putting defense up. That means the opposing team does 1/4 the damage. And then he has the crazy full-on slow, Whereas Adam is very single target debuff activity. He will slow or he'll ability block one person, and then the whole protector, the red X, whatever it is, resist thing. He puts that on protectors, but in the mirror match, everybody's got immunity anyway.
I mean, the disrupt.
The disrupt. Yeah, there we go. Yep. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know why I can't think of those two words those few days, but so he's got an ability block, and then he does the multi stun, that's a unique one, right? The multi adjacent stunning is a new thing, but I still think Jubilee's blind is probably more superior to that. But he didn't elevate the team as much as I was expecting him to do. He's just kind of there, and he can take a lot of damage and he can revive, which is interesting. But I still keep waiting for him to have like some phenomenal thing, and the stun is really great, but everything else is kind of like, okay, thanks. And then certainly I see very little value of him outside of his team. Doc Ock, we absolutely would take him up, and we used him in Legendary. Maul absolutely would take him there. Jubilee, we actually would take him. Adam Warlock, I don't know if I would recommend using him for DD4 Legendary. I don't think he has anywhere near that kind of value. So I just said a whole lot of stuff there.
I think that is the part that, like, I was like, well, yeah, I mean, it definitely makes the team a little bit better, but it was already kind of crazy because it's all about Gamora and Nebula pretty much. I mean, and some of the others you need, but all the women, right, they make the team go, and then you just slide somebody in. But when you mentioned well, what about standalone? I was like, well, I can't see where I would plug him in to make anything happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what does he provide that you say, well, I need this, so let me add him in there, right? I can't think of it, right? And that's what makes a difference from some of the others. Like even Shuri or something like that, you're always like, well, I need an early defense up or whatever. Okay, you just throw her in and that works. What would you need that you think you would need to add Adam Warlock for? I guess would be the question.
I wouldn't. I would put in Jubilee, or I would put in, Ebony Maw long before I would use Adam.
Yeah, so that's the thing. I don't know. And Mystic, that I haven't heard much trouble with that in terms of the Doom rate, right? Like,
well, I mean, a lot of people. You have Surfer and Doom that have done so much.
And Doom, yeah. So, well, maybe there's something coming in the horizon, or somebody will figure out some kind of combo that we're not seeing. But, first impressions have been, okay, It's a good character, not bad. I mean, it's great, but it's not, seems strange. Reminds me more of good old Tony Stark, right? He's actually not the start of the team. Just kind of like you just add him in the power armor team because he has the tag, but it really could have been anybody, like Ultron or Vision or somebody else. So, anything else to add there? I mean, have you enjoyed playing with him? I like the animation. The Revive, have you seen it?
Yeah, of course, but it takes like 5 seconds. That's my biggest thing is the animations are getting longer and longer.
Mm-hmm.
And
the timer is the same, yeah.
Yeah, the timer is the same. And so we're literally in, I was trying to think of when this was, pre-pandemic. I think when we first started the show, we were in the infamous Black Bolt waiting room. And we were certainly in a scenario where we're mashing the buttons on the phone as fast as we can to finish, because we had Ultron and all the crazy bots. And then we had Black Bolt and everything just started blowing up. And then we had Black Order and everything blew up again. And then we had Doom where everything blew up again. So now we actually have to do a fight. It's kind of weird. And we have to worry about the timer in Arena again. So we've come full circle in 2 years. So.
Well, maybe you play it on low graphics. I think the animation's gone. So maybe that's your solution. He doesn't.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, just enable low graphics mode and it goes away. Because I know that because I had not seen it. I was playing, I didn't even know, in low graphics mode. When I watched the video you took, I saw that and I was like, whoa, I have not seen that.
Well, now let's see. Now I know how you're one-shotting all these Doom nodes. You're low graphics mode. You don't have to. You're not timing out these stupid things. So
Yeah, I put it on BlueStacks to make sure it doesn't crash, and sometimes it carries over to my phone and stuff. So,
okay.
but yeah, that probably helps a lot to get through the nodes quicker.
Huh. So I'll have to give that a try. So yet again, we have a game where the sound doesn't work, and the game they go out of their way to tell you not to use the sound or don't even talk about the sound. And now we're this beautiful game with fun animations where we're turning them all off so we can actually play.
Can actually do it. I mean, if you're competitive at all, you have to just to get through things quicker. So anyway. All right. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you were able to unlock him, and congratulations to everybody that did.
Yeah, so one thing, I put it in Discord. I do have a bit of a disclaimer. I did get Polaris in a Mega Orb. So I got 50 shards of her. It was a while back before we knew all this kind of stuff. And even before all that, I did do, the 3,000 or so cores for her character orb that came out. So I did Adam Warlock 100% free to play. At this point, I am actually well over those 50 shards. I'm at least 55 out of 200. So I would have been able to do it because of those 2x days. We both had pretty big days. But fully free to play, no purchases, just a crap ton of cores.
Right, on the character orbs, that's 675, whatever, blitz orbs, whatever we want to call them.
Right.
So you had some foresight there thinking, okay, these guys are going to be important, so let's get ahead and do it. Where I just used $40 for strike passes to get there.
There you go.
They gave us some more in the event, which we'll get into shortly.
Sure.
All right, very good. So more to come on this Island Wallet situation, but hopefully people are getting some enjoyment out of him, because that's all you see now on PvP and Arena. Okay, so with that, we'll move on to the news. And the news, the first part that really got me really excited, Creative, because they said more gold is coming.
Wow.
They're going to add 8.1 million more gold. Woo!
Wow. Now we're talking 8 million a day?
No.
8 million a week?
Nope. That is not correct. It's 8 million per month.
Oh.
Through various means, which really means about 270K per day.
So let's talk about how paltry that is. What is that supposed to really do for us? I mean, I think, let me look. Yes, you can take one character from level 65 to 66. Fantastic.
So yes.
So the whole 2/3 of our roster that we haven't been able to touch anymore, we can raise them now from 65 to 66. Great.
Well, no, 30 of them per month, right? So really, it would take you how long to do all that? There's 170 characters? Yeah.
Okay.
Nah, so, I was thinking something like 500K, a million, that kind of numbers, which just seems like what we need, given that, the last few months has been, what are we talking about now? It's a string of 7, 8 characters that needed to be.
Oh yeah, we've spent easily 70 million. Easily.
Yeah, you got Surfer, Kestrel,
Doom,
Wallet and Friends.
Yeah.
Because nobody had Gamora tier 15 nor a Nebula tier 15. I don't care what you say. Mm-mm. Even if it was your favorite character, you wouldn't have done that. So yeah, there's a lot of pressure on this gold, and I thought they were going to flood us with gold, but yeah, that's it. And the other thing, right? It's immediately available? No. It's in some sort of 2-stage deployment, starting with the patch 5.5, which is next week. So expect bugs and who knows, but
well, maybe we just keep getting a bunch of compensation packages, so
It's just gonna take a second to get it, and then it's just 270. So it's, I mean, more is more, right? I
Sure.
guess, but not enough.
I mean,
Not even
that's
close.
that's not not even like getting remotely excited about. Come on now. Anyway, okay, let's move on. What else?
So they had talked about for a little bit for these Origin Gear challenges, right?
Sure.
Five. There's 5 origins, and there was going to be one every day of the week, and then on Saturday, all of them would be available. Or I guess 2 of them every day of the week, something like that. And on Saturday, they're all available. This is supposed to give you, that origin gear, mutant orange gear. That
The X
I'm,
Splice, the secret, secret intel,
yeah.
all those
I'm,
rare pieces. Yeah.
Again, I'm assuming it's that. Who knows if the first few are blue? Who knows?
It never
I mean, we don't know.
specified.
Yeah, they didn't specify. They just call it
Ugh.
orange gear.
Okay.
I'm hoping by the later ones you get the tough pieces, right? So that we can get that taken care of. So that's coming also with the patch,
Okay.
which this had been announced a while ago. I don't know. There was some kind of delay, or I don't know. Did you have any insight on this?
Well, I mean, we can take it off the still haven't heard news because it's been there. Unfortunately, I'm they're still sticking with the ISO requirements, so they continue to double down on things that are pissing off the player base. And they announced we're going to get more ISO stuff and more ions. Of course, that's been a month and a half as well. So again, they cause a problem and they come back and say they're going to fix it, and they really aren't fixing it. So.
Yep. Well, hopefully, again, this will help shore up some of these deficiencies. But too bad that I'll have gear, but no gold to the next tier. So that's that. Okay, so the mother of all events that they promised, right? That was gonna make the anniversary event look like junk is live.
Best event ever.
It's all tied into the Black Widow movie. And boy, when this first went live, there were some crazy rewards in there. Specifically, something they had promised, right? In one of the blogs, they talked about how part of the reason why this is the event of all events is that there were going to be fully crafted pieces. And if you don't know what that means, what we normally get is gear parts, like ABCs or SBCs. Those are parts that then you combine to make a crafted piece. If you go to any character inventory screen, character gearing screen, and you click on the pieces, it like branches off into 2 or 3 things that make it up. The crafted is the one that has it all. So one of those is worth 10, 20, several of the parts. And, they said, yeah, we're going to have this as part of the event. So they did, and every content creator was going nuts. I remember watching some of the videos, and they're like, "Oh my god, this is like 500 pieces of this," because it was 50 fully crafted, let's say, mutant gear. So those what did you call them? Spies?
Spies? Yeah, X-Spice jeans.
50. 10 per 50 is like 500 of those. I was like, wow. You know how hard it is to get that, right? If you get a farm, and it's very tough to get. Well, within hours of the event going live, all of a sudden it's taken down mysteriously. We were seeing in the chat, our alliance was like, what happened to the event? Is it bugged? Is something gone? And I think I told you, Creator, I'm like, I think they didn't like this whole fully crafted thing. So they're probably revisiting. And lo and behold, a message from Cerebro comes out saying, yeah, we really didn't intend to have fully crafted pieces. So we took the event down to fix it. Now, in all of our magnanimous kindness, we're going to let you keep the ones from milestone 1 through 27. Those will remain as a show of good faith for you guys. But for the rest, 28 and above, we're removing because this was never intended to be the case. And we took it away from the people. There were some people that went that far. I didn't, but I guess some people went that far into the milestone. We took it away from them, and we'll send you compensation for this overall inconvenience, as well as when that was happening, if you open the orbs, they didn't count towards the milestone. So that was another problem. So all that happened within hours, right? Because again, it was something that favored the player base, and you know what happens when that's the case. They seem to act pretty quickly, but to give us more gold, that's going to take 2 stages and a new patch that's coming out in a week and all this stuff. So Creative, I think you have some breaking news that maybe have just come in.
Yes, literally as we started watching the show, we have seen a new, the typical post everywhere kind of thing, basically stating, yeah, we know we said that we were going to give you fully crafted gear, but we communicated too early, and then we decided we didn't want to do that, but we don't actually talk to our developers, so they still left it in. Yeah, so we're not going to do that, and we'll give you some compensation weeks later when you don't even remember what the real compensation was for. And we appreciate your patience. Thanks so much.
Yeah, it was like, we don't announce things because then we change our mind and then we don't update anybody. I'm like, well, it's all about communicating what's on your mind because we can't read it, right?
Yeah.
And clearly this was the intent all along. But somebody got spooked. I don't know if it's because the content creators were so happy. They're like, we can't have this.
Whoa,
They're happy.
We're trending positively on Twitter. What's going wrong?
They're like, did somebody make a mistake? What is it? Compensation Carl or Decimal Jeff? Or
Decimal Jeff and Calendar Carl.
It's supposed to be a mistake. And then I think it was Tana. They're like, wait, the blog weeks ago said, yeah, but that's what we're going to get. That's what made this event the event of all events. So, again, all in all, and we'll talk about this in the numbers, the event is very good. I mean, the stuff that's in there is pretty good overall. It's a lot of good stuff. But here we go again. That has to be a shadow of a disaster, like around the event. Why not just leave it alone, right? There's a new game out there. People are thinking about switching. Everybody's in uproar. What's this even going to do? We don't have gold to do these things anyway. So what's the harm on leaving it in? I don't know. But now there's a correction and then a backpedaling of the correction. And who knows what we're going to get out of this. But I just don't understand why the communication tends to be poor.
Well, particularly when they have a 20-step process where they have to review it like 5 times with the numbers people. I mean, I just don't get it.
Yeah, and this is yet again one of those where the thing that benefits player gets taken down immediately. And they probably didn't even vet this properly because clearly this was intended to be there all along. So anyway, not to turn too negative, but just continuation of some of the same things we've been seeing for a while. So Creative. Oh, one more thing before
we gotta throw a little more salt in, then we'll put some sugar on top.
Yeah. So I picked up on this because they show it to you in your face when you're browsing the game, and there's a new offer I saw for, I think it was Multiple Man, the first one I saw, and there's a horrible offer that is $30 for 50 character shards and like 2 ABCs and 1 purple gear. That's nothing really. It's just 50 character shards for $30, which I call horrible and bad. And I think I bought it once for Hela because of Black Bolt Desperation. But it's awful. If you're gonna buy the initial offers. Never buy those. So the multiple one offer that comes up, I see it and it's $20, and I'm like, oh, they have lowered the price. That's awesome. 50 shards for 20. No. 25 shards for 20. Which, if you do the math, is actually 50 shards for $40. A 33% increase in price over the already horrible offer. So not going in the right direction here. Of these scarce characters that people they're testing, I guess, how desperate people are for Adam Warlock.
Mm-hmm.
But I find it really tough, and they came out with one for every character. I saw the long shot one. I
Wow.
haven't seen Shatterstar, but yeah, all of them have it, and it's pretty bad pricing.
It's
It was,
despicable.
yeah, I mean, if it was bad pricing to worse pricing. So anyway, I don't understand what they're going for here, just trying to squeeze even more out of people. Anyway, enough of that, but I just felt I needed to call it out because I was pretty appalled by it. It's pretty bad. Anyway, let's move on from that, and on a bit of a more positive note, maybe let's run the numbers.
Yeah, so let's talk about this Web of Spies event. And first and foremost, I have to say this is probably it may be one of the most friendly player events in terms of being able to accomplish the milestones that we have seen. I think since we've done the show, probably since we've been doing these numbers, it's probably one of the most friendly in terms of achieving these milestones. There's 2 milestones. There's orb fragments all over the place. So let's break it down. And I do want to give a shout out to Commander Henson. I totally missed that the objectives, the daily objectives, gave the orb fragments. So he called that out, and that actually reduced the numbers to make it even more friendly for players. So I haven't been able to fully confirm all that, so a few caveats there. But thank you to him for highlighting that. So first, there's 2 milestones. The first one is called Target Acquired, and this is the one where you go play the game. Basically, you do arena, do raids, and this time PvP was added, and then of course war. And so over 2 days, you need 10,000 points. The summary is you don't have to do any PvP if you have an active war going. As long as you do 3.5 attacks per day in war, you have to do 0 PvP. Most of us do at least a few matches. And you just do your standard 5 attacks in arena, your usual 9 attacks per raid, and guess what? You have achieved the milestone. So you have to do no extra activities. You don't have to go do a bunch of extra raids. You don't have to try and use some crazy characters in raids. Just do what you're doing already, and you will achieve the 10,000 points every 2 days, and that will get you 1,150 fragments per 2 days. And so that will give you, got the numbers here, 10 orbs over the course of the event. And so now I'm talking about orbs, and this is like all the others. There's a milestone for opening the orb. To achieve the max milestone of the orb is 72,000 points. And we are focusing on the in-game side. There's 3 different orbs. The orange gear or superior gear one is 800, and then there's a purple and a blue. Ultimately, all of the points are you're not going to be penalized for opening a blue or penalized for purple. What points you spend on that gives you towards the milestone. So it's again free, or it is friendly to all levels of play of the game. So you need 72,000 points, which is 90 of the event orbs. And so what we talked about with the target acquired milestone, you'll get 10. The objectives, I believe you get about 800 frags per day. That will equate to 14 orbs. And then for the first time, and I can't remember when, both the regular campaign and the ISO campaign spending gives you orb fragments as well. And it's a 1-for-1. You spend 1 energy or 10 energy, you will get 10 orb frags. And so your standard energy spend, doing the 4 refreshes on campaign side and using all of the free energy plus the energy from the objectives, you will end up with over 24,000 orb fragments over the course of the 14-day event, and that comes out to over 30 orbs. So I just said a whole lot of numbers.
Whew.
A lot of numbers. So we need to get 90 orbs. We get 10 from the target acquired event. We get another 14 from the objectives, the daily objectives. We get another 30 from the energy spend in the campaigns that we get. So that leaves us with the usual default of you need to do some blitzing. However, again, very, very friendly to the player base. You only need to have 93 wins per day. So Frid and I are in-game players. These are blitzes that we don't care about. So we're doing 3 tanking teams, and we can win with quite a number of teams. So we can win with almost 31 teams. But if you just can win with 25 teams, we just use that as general averages. You don't have that many cycles, just under 4 cycles per day. So this is by far the best we've seen in a long time. Normally it's 5, 5.5, 6, and the previous events were 8. So those blitz cycles, the little under 4 blitz cycles, will get you the remaining 35 plus orbs. So with all of that, you will hit the max milestone. And as Frid mentioned, even though there was this debacle of things in there, there's still some good things in there. Me personally, I'm focusing on the uniques. There's a lot of good uniques in there. There's 25 towards per unique in some of the later things. There's some elite red star orbs in there. So
yeah, I mean it's the most we've seen. There's 50 of the parts of those tough parts, like the secret intel and stuff like that. There is tier 15 gear. We didn't even quantify that, but there's some blue ions. There's a 5 red guardian in there. There's an elite 6 orb.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some really good stuff here, I have to say.
I forgot to cover the red guardian because this is now the 3rd event in a row where they give us a character that we already had 5 red stars. But for the player base at large, red guardian is a fantastic character. Skilletary has come into its own in war, and then he is phenomenal in the skill nodes of Doom Raid, and you can use him in Ultimus as well. Very, very solid all-around character. He's a brick wall. He heals. He ability blocks. He does a lot of good things for your team. So a ton of uniques, yeah.
All tied into the movie, the Red Guardian, the Black Widow, and all that stuff. So, good rewards here overall. And we'll get some compensation on top of all this, given all the miscommunication. So I think it's going to be a good one, right? There should be no problem finishing all this.
Absolutely. Again, you're doing, outside of Blitz, maybe people aren't doing any Blitz right now, but doing 4 cycles, that's 20 minutes because it's only 5 minutes to do these things. So, and then everything else is what you're already doing, and it's actually less of what you're already doing if you are a focused in-game player. So it should definitely be very, very achievable. It's just really sad that they had to go muck it up in the beginning, but overall, people should really appreciate these free rewards.
Yep. Anything exciting in the orbs? I think they're just like the usual. Not that exciting, right? There's some gear in there, but
it's the usual orange type gear where you get like one piece of a piece of orange stuff. This is the first time I will say that they have not penalized in-game players for opening orange gears as it relates to the orb fragments within the orbs, and that's where it's mega orbs, gold, and training. You actually get more of those in the orange gear orbs. Purple and blue are basically the same. This is the first time you're not penalized from that perspective. So we're spending more on the orb. We should get more in terms of that. So it's only, fair. So finally fixed that. That's only been going on for 1.5 years.
Yep. So good stuff.
Yeah. And you reminded me, you mentioned the patch is coming soon. We assume next week, probably Tuesday or Wednesday. There's a lot of things that have been waiting to be fixed. One thing that just absolutely drives me nuts. We cannot see how many of the raid refresh energy credit things you have. It's the green thingy that you can just use
Oh
that,
yeah, that
expend that.
disappeared.
We
Yes.
haven't been able to see that for a month and a half. The other that drives me nuts is they broke chat now 3 times. They said they were going to fix it 2 patches ago. Every time you flip to something else, it does a reload graphic, so you think it's something new, and nope, it's the same comment from 3 hours ago that you've seen for 3 hours. So there's a lot of little things that they had better be fixing these things. I mean, if you can go fix an event in 15 minutes, for the love of God, fix these quality of life things. It's just so annoying to see all these little things.
Yep. No, that's right. And I forgot to mention that, but yeah, I have a ton of that, and I don't know how much I have because I can't see it anymore.
Yeah.
I've been accumulating it for a long time from all the compensation, right? So it's kind of frustrating not to be able to see it. So we'll see if they take care of that one. I don't know. I don't think it has even been acknowledged.
No, they've acknowledged. Well, they've
know.
definitely acknowledged the raid energy refresh thing. I don't know if they've acknowledged the chat.
I thought they did because they tried to fix it, right?
They've tried to fix it twice. One time they got close, and then the next time it went. It's like they used code from 2 years ago instead. I don't understand how they screwed that up, but anyway, the chat is broken. I mean, jeez. Anyway, so let's move on. You mentioned Marvel Future Revolution, and so if you watch anything content creator wise out there, they've been talking about this game for quite a while, and it actually came out as a soft launch, and you have to be a Canadian or a person with a VPN pretending to be Canadian to play. Tons of people, I guess, OMG, who now goes by Mobile Gamer, Casino, and others have released videos about how to actually go download it and set it up on an emulator, and then how to get a VPN and how to do all that stuff. And so, Fred, you and I have taken the plunge. You haven't gotten to play nearly as much since you were vacationing, but I did want to just kind of briefly mention it, just because everybody hears it and they don't necessarily know what it is. So why don't we talk about it for a minute?
Yeah, and I'll say something about what you said about the method. This is pretty usual. You don't hear about it much, but a lot of games do this. It's called a soft launch in a country like they did Canada, because the user base is less, and it's just it's almost like a beta test, right? But it's soft launch is what it's called, and it's pretty common. And they acknowledge that there are going to be people that do the VPN thing, and they're going to be part of the soft launch. And they said there's not going to be any server resets, so they're not going to take away anything that you do or spend. So if you have any interest in this game, I mean, it's not that hard to do. And they are saying that it's fair game, and you can try it, and it's not going to be a problem later when it comes out. I think it's September. So
yeah, September 30th, maybe.
2-3 months out, when it comes out for all platforms, you will be a way, to sync your account, and you should be good to go. So anyway, just wanted to mention that. Okay, so I'll give some impressions, creative, and then you can also pipe into what you think. But
yeah, before you do that though, let's just kind of level set. So we have a lot of Marvel Strike Force content creators talking about the game. This is not a replacement of Marvel Strike Force. Mm-hmm. This is a fundamentally different game altogether. While it is Marvel, while you do get a character and you level them up, it is more in the vein of you actually play as the character and not anywhere close to the hero collector type game. So this is a fundamentally different game, so I want to make sure and cover that up front.
Right. This is a whole other thing. And you could probably speak more. Well, we both play similar. It's like a bunch of games, I think, within a game. It does have some of the stuff like Strike Force about collecting and gearing, but let's just, before we get into all that, first things first is one of the things that they've been promising is that this is going to look incredible for a mobile game, and they've shown some cinematics, which Blizzard as an example is well known for making phenomenal cinematics, but it's not based on in-game engine. It's something else that's been created, like a CGI movie type of thing. So they've been promising that this is going to look great, and we've seen some footage blended in with cinematics, and we're like, is this using the engine? And we're playing on BlueStacks, but from what I can see, the game looks great. I don't think I've ever seen this many like particle effects and things blowing up and stuff happening all over the place, and you see other players running around. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff going on, and it's kind of an open world, and the graphics looks pretty good. And again, turned down all the settings just to make sure it ran okay. I can't wait to see in the actual, like I have, as you know, latest Apple phones and stuff. I want to see what it looks like once it's fully released. But it looks really good. Anything that you've noticed there that you may want to add in terms of the look and feel, the graphics?
No, I would just mimic what you stated. A lot of superb graphics, particularly for these types of games that have open worlds and have to render quite a bit of stuff.
Yeah, and it's Marvel Strike Force is locked in 5v5 from one angle. You can spin the camera around, zoom in, zoom out. You can do all kinds of stuff in this game, just like you would expect like in a console game. All right, so next thing. You talked to me about this one, and it's the amount of automation that you can do. And you sounded shocked. And like, it can do all kinds of stuff for you almost. Now, you do have to interact with the game and tell it what to do, but you can auto conversations, you can auto fights, you can auto collecting things. Like, what are some of the things?
Quests. I mean, it's crazy. So, in terms of what the game is, I think we needed to still give that a little bit. This is like, I think of almost, in a sense, like World of Warcraft, and it's an open world, MMORPG type game. You can pick a character, and you will level the skills up of that character. It even has kind of elements of Diablo in that you have different skills that you can pick and choose from and level up. So to me, it's like a World of Warcraft, Diablo game where you run around and whack things. And so that's the whole appeal of Diablo, is going off and blowing up things with your spells. And it was just really odd to me that you can hit auto. And if you've played World of Warcraft or any kind of MMO, you have to grind. And that's going and running these quests. You can literally hit auto and it'll go kill a couple guys, and it'll pick up the loot, and it'll go pick up this, and it does it all. So it was really disconcerting. I'm like, what do I actually do with this game? You can't auto the boss fights and some other things. You can certainly play as much or as little as you want to, but that was very interesting. It's very easy to get lost in these types of games when it's these open worlds and you run into mob packs and all this kind of stuff. So it was very interesting to be able to hit auto and bypass it and just kind of go exactly where you need to go. So you limit how much time you're really wasting.
Yeah, no, that's good. Remember how long it took to get auto blitz or whatever in MS7. This is out of the gate, right? This just came with it. There's no, you got to play for several hours, nothing. Just from the beginning, right? You just hit auto and you're good to go. All right. Another thing, and it's pretty early to know this, but it appears like it's free to play friendly in the sense of everything can be grinded out, right? You can acquire gear, do stuff as long as you put in the time, and with the help of this auto, you should be able to get everything that's available for free. Have you seen anything gated via some kind of payment system?
Not yet, but I'm a third of the way to the max level, so I haven't seen all that yet. But everything that I've seen, I'm blown away by how much content is in the game. There's so many. There's armor. There's kind of mods of sorts. There's collectibles, there's different types of visuals you can have for your characters, there's skills, you can then level the skills. I mean, and then of course you can have up to 4 characters at a time, and then you can unlock even more characters. So the amount of depth and the fact that you can just kind of keep playing and you get rewards, to me is pretty amazing.
Yeah. So we'll see if they, towards the end game, there's some kind of thing that it's locked behind some payment, or it's so hard to get that it's worth paying for. But so far we haven't seen it. You kind of alluded to my next point here, and it's that it's like drinking from the fire hose, right?
Yeah.
There is so much stuff that they throw. It doesn't ease you into. There is like little tutorials, but doesn't seem to ease you into anything. You're kind of like everything's there. You can do it, and good luck. And like you said, there's so many systems of crafting and combining and fusing and collectibles and packs to open and skill and gear and costumes and gear are kind of intertwined. They're related, but you can make it look whatever you want, even though the gear would be from, say, you get the, I don't know, Captain America Endgame. It's a 3-star helmet, and you really like it, but you prefer the Hydra look. Well, you can make it look Hydra and still have the stats from the Endgame. So it's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, visuals are completely separate than the actual pieces of gear.
You still need both to be able to use it, but you can mix and match, which is kind of neat. So it's not locked to the piece if you really like a particular look. But there's so much to look at, and there's dialogue all over the place, and these bosses, and there's alliance, and there's too much going on. We need some time to understand all of the different modes, how long it takes, and where's the bang for the buck. So right now we're just trying to understand the mechanics. The fighting system is quite in depth. There's multiple abilities, so it doesn't play. It's not turn based. It's all real time. So you're just you have
managing
to
ability.
Yeah, you gotta manage the attacks. It's not like, hey, do this ability. No, you gotta combos and all that kind of stuff, and dodging and moving out of the way of things. So you're really interacting. I wonder if a joystick or some other control scheme would be better, because it feels like that would be helpful. But yeah, we there's a lot to learn here. I'm sure more videos, and we'll learn more as we go. Anything to add about how much stuff it's in this game, and based on the few hours you played?
Yeah, I mean, to me, I'm just blown away by how much content there is in terms of story. I actually just, because there's so much, I had to start skipping, but I keep listening to and reading the main storyline and the convergence of worlds. And so they tell you this event happens, but they haven't told you how or why it's happening. And I'm now getting the point where they're alluding to something coming. So it's an interesting story. It does take a while to unfold, because it's kind of quest after quest after quest, and you have to go, whack some guy over here and get this over there. But it is an interesting story as well. I think probably the biggest thing for me when I think of these types of games, particularly when you're playing so you can be in a group and do this kind of stuff, I was looking forward to being the healer. I've always talked about being a healer. So I keep looking, and there is no player that is a healer. Everyone has like an automated potion that will kick off automatically for you, because it's a mobile game. You don't have 20 buttons that you can hit. But there was no healing, which is a bit odd. So I focused on a couple crowd control characters, so I can at least get some sense of that. But it's that was a little odd.
No healing for creative. Oh no, that's a disaster. What are you supposed to do?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, no. I decided to go with Captain America to start. What did you pick?
I did Doctor Strange. I typically like caster type characters.
Oh, it's like from afar, kind of get you with from a distance.
I either like being the tank up front or the guy in the back.
I think Cap has to get up close and personal. I mean, he can throw the shield and stuff, but he's in there taking a beating. So it did say something about difficulty of control, and I think Cap had 4 stars.
Oh.
Storm, for example, had 2. Not sure what any of that means, but maybe because he's so you have to be so close to people, maybe that adds to the difficulty, because you got to get out of the way sometimes for certain attacks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it means. We'll find out eventually.
Yeah, about the only negative thing I can really say, and this is something I think Diablo has kind of mastered, is there's a high skill cap with Diablo in that you can hit all of your abilities at a super fast pace and it'll actually do all of them. Whereas with this game, I feel like if you don't wait for the animations of one ability to finish and you do your next one, you're actually canceling the effect and then setting the timer. So there definitely is some bugs in and around the combo of kicking off a bunch of abilities at once and canceling them, which you have to be really careful on. They're going to get in trouble for that, because that's, high end players are going to complain about that kind of stuff. And there is PvP, which I think is just crazy. It's just so much stuff blown up on a screen, that kind of stuff will turn off, elite players.
Mhm.
So they'll need to look at that a bit. Making sure that they're not canceling abilities, that they're controlling that, they're getting them all off, and you have to kind of simply lock a little bit. But that's really frustrating because my character you can lock people down, then you drop several AoEs, and I accidentally will cancel out the big one because it takes a couple seconds to do. So that's one thing they really need to look at. But otherwise, I mean, I'm not seeing a whole lot of bugs. Everything runs, it looks pretty good, and again, there's just so much depth to the game.
Yeah, so it's a lot for a soft launch, which how these games go, they keep adding to it, but it feels like there's a lot already in there. But to your initial point, definitely a different kind of game than Marvel Strike Force. It has some of the same elements, but it's definitely something different. Because you're not collecting hundreds of heroes or gearing all that, and the whole mechanic of having to actually do fights like you're describing, where you need to have skills on combination and timing of doing things and moving around, is definitely a whole other game.
Yeah.
But this is super early, so we'll see what else we learn as we play more.
Yeah, I will say it'll be interesting to see how this actually plays on mobile, because I've got a mouse with 1, 2, 3. I have like 5 buttons on the mouse, if not more. Plus, you can do combinations of the keyboard and that. I will be very interesting to see how this plays on a phone. I know you've got fancy stuff, but I would be kind of curious as to if this would actually work on a phone. And they're definitely come out and said we are not porting this to PC or anything. So that's interesting.
Wow, it's just mobile, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, we'll see. I mean, some of these now support, like I can hook up an Xbox controller or a PlayStation controller to an
Yeah.
iPhone. So maybe that's one way to do it if it supports it out of the box.
Okay.
We'll see.
Well, anyway, we want to just give our take because, I typically have liked a lot of those games. I know a lot of people that play Marvel Strike Force are retirees from MMORPGs, and so that auto button is definitely different. It'll make things a bit different. So there's not nearly the grind, but it'll be interesting just to see how this one and other games with the same IP and different IPs will continue to put pressure on Marvel Strike Force to improve.
Yep. Well, it's good to see more. I love Marvel content, so I won't complain about that. I just hope it's a good experience overall as it progresses. So.
Excellent. Well, as always, you can continue the conversation by joining us on Discord. We will always have that in our show notes. You can contact us via the old-fashioned method of Gmail, rngingame@gmail.com. We're on Twitter, we're on YouTube, and we're on all of your favorite podcast apps. Thanks, everybody. Stay safe, stay healthy.
Don't forget to do a review.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
This week. Talk to you next week.